President Donald Trump is gaining ground on Joe Biden in Arizona. We'll take a look at the latest election numbers as ballot counting continues.
Plus, the blue wave. As more votes come in for Democrats in traditionally Republican states this year, we look at what the shift could mean for the GOP.
And later this half hour, we break down how the coronavirus pandemic has impacted racial healthcare disparities.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Kelsey Kalasi.
And I'm Maithili Gubbi. Thank you for joining us. All eyes are on the battleground states today as election 2020 continues. This morning, Joe Biden took the lead over President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania and Georgia. Here in Arizona, Trump is narrowing the gap with just 43,000 votes separating the two candidates. According to Secretary of State statistics, Trump gained about 3,300 votes on the former vice president. As of now, Biden has 50% of the votes in Arizona and Trump has 49%. Ballot counting could take several more days.
Going to end up perhaps at the highest court in the land. We'll see. But we think there'll be a lot of litigation because we can't have an election stolen like this.
Yesterday, judges in Georgia and Michigan rejected lawsuits from Republicans and the Trump campaign alleging ballot counting problems. And former Vice President Joe Biden delivered his own remarks, urging Americans to have patience with the ongoing process.
We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners. So I ask everyone to stay calm, all the people to stay calm. The process is working.
Just after noon today, we learned Georgia will do a recount as the Secretary of State says the presidential race is too close to call. Take a listen.
The focus for our office and for the county election officials for now remains on making sure that every legal vote is counted and recorded accurately. As we are closing in on a final count, we can begin to look toward our next steps. With a margin that small, there will be a recount in Georgia.
He added, with the margin that small, there will be a recount in Georgia. There are no automatic recounts in the state, but a candidate can request a recount if the margin is 0.5% or less.
There are around 238,000 ballots left to be counted here in Arizona. Some of those are provisional, others are early ballots that need signature verification. Groups are protesting outside of the Maricopa County Ballot Tabulation Center, calling for each vote to be counted. Stephanie Rosales has the latest from there.
Protesters from across Arizona continue to gather outside of the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center for the third time in a row. Protesters say they support a fair election and believe that Arizona votes were taken away from the president. The crowd chanted, "Count the vote."
Let's go! We want the vote! We need a recount! We need a recount!
And expressed concern that voters were not allowed inside to see the process.
I don't care whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Socialist. I don't care. You have every right in this country to see what's going on, to make sure it's being done properly.
USA! USA! USA!
The Maricopa County Elections website offers live cameras so that people can watch the ballots being counted. Last night, Republican Governor Doug Ducey took to Twitter to try to reassure voters, saying in part, "In Arizona, we count votes received up until Election Day. That's it. No judges have intervened and no last-minute changes have been enacted. We're following established Arizona election law to the letter." In Phoenix, Stephanie Rosales, Cronkite News.
In the first blush of early returns on election night, some people were saying it looked like a blue wave had swept over Arizona. But since the counting has continued since then, the enthusiasm has started to wane. As Carolina Hassett reports from our Washington Bureau.
Unofficial returns show Democrats winning some big prizes in Arizona, with presidential nominee Joe Biden and Senate candidate Mark Kelly both leading in the state. But after that, it was a mixed bag, a bag that has only gotten more mixed as vote counting continues.
I don't think there's a permanent realignment to blue.
Rose was not the only analyst who, when asked about a blue wave, responded along the lines of, yeah, but early Democratic leads have evaporated in several races, the biggest being Democrat Harold Tippernidy, challenger of Congressman David Schweiker in District 6. After leading on election night, she now trails by almost 12,000 votes. That's not to say there were not Democratic gains.
Maricopa County, Democrats took control of the County Board of Supervisors for the first time in at least 50 years.
There were 2 Republican supervisor districts that would, in any other year, would have stayed Republican, and they both got beat.
Democrats are also on track to pick up 1 seat in the state Senate and hold their own in the state House. There will still be minorities in both chambers, but just barely. And if Kelly's lead holds, this would be the first time Arizona sent 2 Democratic senators to Washington in nearly 70 years.
It does speak to the shifting demographics of Arizona, Maricopa County in particular, but it also speaks to how good of a candidate Mark Kelly was.
Meanwhile, Biden has seen his lead over President Donald Trump dwindle, and nothing is official until the counting is over, and likely legal challenges are exhausted.
If Arizona ends up being the Florida of this presidential election cycle, and it all comes down to Arizona, what a crazy historic moment that is for our state.
Maricopa County also had a large surge of Democratic voters this year. Impressive, but part of what analysts are calling more of a bluish wave for the state. And it will take more than that to wipe away Arizona's deep red, Bent says.
There was a blue wave, but Republicans were ready on the beach with some sandbags and were batting down the hatches to be ready for the wave.
In Washington, Carolina Hassett, Cronkite News.
Arizona voters have approved a new tax on high earners that could bring in nearly $1 billion of new revenue a year to the state's schools. The approval of Proposition 208 came after the state's business community spent more than $18 million trying to defeat the measure, backed by many educators and progressive groups. The measure was an outgrowth of a 2018 teacher strike that gave teachers a 20% pay raise over 3 years, but fell short of what strikers demanded. The Invest in Education Act will now impose an extra 3.5% tax on income above $250,000 for individuals and for couples making more than $500,000 per year.
With many ballots still left to be counted and races not officially called in Arizona, it's important to note that this newscast was taped earlier in the afternoon. At the time of our taping, the results we are reporting here were up to date. However, in a still fluid election season, results may change. To track the very latest on election 2020 results, just go to our website, cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, COVID-19 is on the rise here in Arizona. Find out what one community is doing to stop the spread.
And details on why Border Patrol agents raided a migrant No More Deaths camp next.
Check out what's available now on PBS Passport, the on-demand streaming service for the best of Arizona PBS. All your favorites, like Masterpiece, Antiques Roadshow, great performances, and local shows like Arizona Horizon and Clayton Poor. And check out brand new shows and series before they air on Arizona PBS. Ready for you on your schedule when you want to watch. Thousands of hours of programming are waiting for you when you become a qualifying member of Arizona PBS. Sign in and start streaming today.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
I've known the family for years. I never, ever dreamt it would end like this.
Across the globe, islands are home to some of the most remarkable animals and extraordinary cultures on the planet.
I'm Scott Yu. Come with me to uncover how a country boy became the most influential composer of all time.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station. Sign in and start streaming today.
Check out what's available now on PBS Passport, the on-demand streaming service for the best of Arizona PBS. All your favorites, like Masterpiece, Antiques Roadshow, great performances, and local shows like Arizona Horizon and Clayton Poor. And check out brand new shows and series before they air on Arizona PBS. Ready for you on your schedule when you want to watch. Thousands of hours of programming are waiting for you when you become a qualifying member of Arizona PBS. Sign in and start streaming today.
On October 5th, Border Patrol agents and the Border Patrol Tactical Unit, known as BORTAC, raided a No More Deaths humanitarian aid station for the second time in under 3 months. Cronkite News reporter Delaney White spoke with the No More Deaths volunteer about the most recent encounter.
Just after sunset, Border Patrol agents descended on Bird Camp, a No More Deaths humanitarian aid station in the Arizona desert. This was the second nighttime raid in under 3 months, the first of which occurred on July 31st and the second on October 5th.
Out of sight, out of mind is what we want, and that's what they hate about all humanitarian groups, in particular right now, No More Deaths, because they have outed them on so many violations out there in the field.
According to the No More Deaths website, the initial detention and surveillance of Bird Camp was set up just 24 hours after No More Deaths released emails from a FOIA request revealing the role of BORTAC, the tactical unit recently mobilized against protesters throughout the United States, and the Border Patrol Union's role in a 2017 raid of the same aid station.
They came in, guns blazing. They completely surrounded the place. They had helicopters, they had tanks come in, they had all the BORTAC agents come in first with huge assault rifles, with silencers on them.
According to Thames, humanitarian aid workers were rounded up at gunpoint and zip-tied. Their phones were confiscated in order to prevent them from documenting the situation through photo or video.
Next, they started detaining up to 30 to 40 migrants. Volunteers couldn't see exactly what was going on, but they could hear people being chased. They could hear a lot of destruction happening. And then after that did happen, the camp was completely destroyed.
Border Patrol agents not only detained humanitarian aid workers and migrants, but then proceeded to destroy the camp, GARCIA says.
But to go in there and not really search, but to destroy things that help human life, that help medical people treat other people. They destroyed the camp. They had helicopters, they had trucks. That's an outrage. It's an outrage.
When asked for their comment on the situation, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection spokesperson provided the following statement. On Monday afternoon, October 5th, 2020, agents from CBP's Tucson Sector Border Patrol and Air and Marine Operations Tucson Air Branch executed a federal search warrant on a location identified as Bird Camp near Arivaca, Arizona. The site is better known as the No More Deaths Camp. Approximately 19 persons at the location were taken into custody. 12 of those arrested were identified as aliens illegally in the United States. The action was the second such federal search warrant served at the location since July of this year. The earlier warrant resulted in more than 40 arrests.
And I hope that this country is put in the International Criminal Court one day for the deaths that we purposely caused along this border.
GARCIA and No More Deaths volunteers view these raids as a violation of international humanitarian law. Delaney White, Cronkite News.
No More Deaths affirms they'll continue to operate in the desert as long as Border Patrol policies create a crisis of death and disappearance.
This morning, Arizona health officials reported 1,966 new coronavirus cases and 22 additional deaths. It was the second highest daily case report since August 1st, behind Thursday's batch. That brings our documented totals to nearly 255,000 infections and over 6,000 fatalities. A second wave of COVID-19 is hitting the Navajo Nation as well. Earlier this week, they announced 2 additional weekend-long curfews. The tribe's health department ordered the 56-hour curfews beginning at 9 tonight and lasting through 5 a.m. on Monday. A second curfew with the same time constraints will go into effect November 13th through the 16th. The announcement came hours after tribal officials warned of an uncontrolled spread of the virus within more than 20 of their communities, including several in Arizona. The spread was due in large part to travel off the Navajo Nation and family gatherings.
With the Pac-12 finally kicking off their football season this weekend, they've released new COVID-19 protocols. Some of the safety guidelines include football players getting tested each day of full practice, on travel days, and on game days. If a player tests positive, they have to get a follow-up test within 24 hours. During the game, fans in the stadium must wear a face covering. Players can remove their masks while in the field of play, but they must put the face covering back on once they return to the sidelines.
Tomorrow, the Sun Devils are set to open up their season against USC, which is currently ranked 20th on the latest Top 25 poll. Harry Croton has more on how the Devils will need to adjust to a tough first assignment.
The Sun Devils enter Week 1 as 11-point underdogs to the Trojans, according to betting agency Circa Sports. The Devils fell short when the two teams met last season, but this year shows a few big differences. Sophomore quarterback Jaden Daniels is ready to go, and the team expects the unexpected.
We don't know exactly what they're going to do. We have a pretty good idea, but they haven't played yet. There might be a wrinkle or two that they run. Maybe some different personnel groups, who knows, and we're going to have to be able to adjust to that, both offensively and defensively.
With Jaden, it just gives us the second option to be able to run. Even if we call it pass play, he could drop back and end up getting yards himself.
They got great skill guys in space. Obviously, they're great up front as well. We got to play physical with them, and we just got to match their star power and run to the ball.
ASU's main goal is to battle hard from the beginning and avoid falling behind, and the same can be said about the shortened 2020 season. The Sun Devils will be playing amid heightened safety conditions and lessened crowds, making the adjustment factor stretch far beyond the field.
ASU has lost 4 of its last 5 games against USC, but as 2020 has proven, anything can happen.
Finally tonight, Phoenix is still setting daily heat records, and it's November. Yesterday, we hit a high of 99, making it the hottest November day in the city's history. You might want to pull your jackets out this weekend, though, as a cold front moves through the state. Temperatures will drop to 74 on Saturday, before dipping to 68 for Sunday's high. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.